Well, hey there, friends. Welcome to episode number 127 of It'll Be Fine, the socially distant baking food chat show. I'm your friend and your pal, Kelly Zemnickis. And friends, it's the end of an era. This is the last bake I'm going to do in this kitchen. And I'm getting a little misty-eyed. This is the reason why we're dressed up to the nines. My guest on the show today, the delightful, the super funny, the incomparable Carson Pinch is joining me today for a fancy dress-up party and a fancy bake as we make Key Lime Tarts. Or pie. Technically, we're making a pie because it goes in a pie shape thing. It's a big tart. You can call it a big tart, I guess. I don't know. We are using a recipe from a cookbook that I have loved for a long time. It's by the good people at Williams Sonoma. Or is it Williams and Sonoma? I don't know. Anyhow, tomato. But that is what Carson and I are tackling today, the Key Lime Tart. I am stoked for this one. I am super excited. I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here for the last bake in my tiny kitchen. On today's show, we're offering love, offering attention to the amazing folks at amfAR. Info on them is in the show description. So get ready, kids. Get up, get on your fascinators, your high school prom outfit. Yes, it is. I wore this when I was 18. Stand by for a photo. It's gonna be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
All right, so for the key lime filling itself, we're gonna need some eggs. I've got some sugar here. I'm using both granulated and coconut sugar. Don't know how it's gonna work, but I'm giving it a try. We need a bit of flour, all-purpose, heavy cream. I've got whipping cream here, should do the trick. We need some key limes, of course, some limes. If you can find key lime, you are better than I am right now, but I couldn't find them here in Toronto. And if you wish, some whipping cream for the end. That's all. Start on our dough. You will need to sift together the cake flour and the all-purpose flour. These are two different flours. You can't use more all-purpose to compensate. You do need them both. And when it says sift together, basically just dump it in a bowl, then take a little fork like I've got here and just mix it around. If your flour ever says sifted, you're going to want to sift one and then put the other in. So you're going to have to like mix them separately, if that makes any sense. So that is step one. So what I've done is I've combined the flours and the butter, the vanilla, and the powdered sugar. I am not using salt because my butter is a salted butter, and we're just mixing this up until the dough forms. Easy peasy. No eggs needed. All right. Is this a perfectly shaped disc? No. And my dough does seem a bit dry, but I'm not going to freak out. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up nicely, as I have done. And as the instructions say right here, we are going to put this into the fridge overnight, or you can store it in the freezer if you don't plan on using it for a bit. So that is the butter cookie dough recipe. And Carson's going to be here in the morning. We're going to make the key lime tart. I can't wait. Right into it. But we did not plan the blue. We planned dressing kind of fancy. That's the stuff.
We look great.
We look fantastic. Awesome. I'm very grateful, as I have been these past few months, to Zoom only being from the waist up, because this garb I'm sporting, and I'll put in a picture of when I first wore it, was my pantsuit for my high school formal.
That's the best. And you held on to it.
You know why I held on to it? This is true. When I bought this at a fancy Canadian store called Holt Renfrew.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, I don't know how many stores exist anymore, but this is where I got it. We went to a fancy store, and my mother said to me, Kelly, if you want this one, that's fine, but it's very expensive. And I don't know if it was like a threat or something.
Yeah. It's like you will die in this if we buy it.
How have you been? I have not seen you in a minute.
Yes. I mean, a lot has happened,
Yeah.
for sure. I good, I guess, as good as one can be. I've been trying to stay productive, active. Comedy is a very weird thing right now, and especially for sketch and improv.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun, and sometimes it's a huge bummer.
How was Sketchfest this year? How was it?
It was great.
Yeah, was it all virtual? Like, I'm assuming there was nothing in person.
Yeah, it was all digital. So it was all pre-recorded bits that people have done, either alone or through Zoom, or people even recorded kind of faux live sets from a like safe theater of just them. Yeah, it was interesting. And I was very impressed. It's like amazing what people can do under these circumstances. But also I'm watching this and I'm like, God, it would be just that much better if it was live.
It's been, because for us here in Canada, we're having a vastly different experience than our American friends or even other parts of the world. Like, we've just hit such a crazy pocket.
Not so great right now.
It's pretty, I mean, mind you, not all of Canada, like our, friends in the Yukon, they are all vaccinated.
Yeah.
It's back to business.
East Coast doing great.
I know.
I was talking to Hallworth, and he was like, yeah, I just did like 5 sets this morning, and Japan really liked this joke.
Today for the kids watching at home is we're making a key lime tart. I've got it right here. It is from my Williams Sonoma cookbook. There you go. That's a fancy cooking store I used to like to go to back in the before times. Now, you and I both, and I alluded to just a moment ago in the video, made our dough the night before. How is your dough today, sir?
I'm still a little worried about this dough, but I think if it's rolled out, I think it'll be fine. I think.
Well, that is the name of the show. So it's going to be fine regardless of this is not how we expected it to go. I'll show the friends at home what mine's looking like. Mine's already started to break.
Okay.
It came out of the fridge and like did a little split for me.
Oh no.
But we were both saying in the chat, the dough tastes good.
Yes. It tastes very good.
This is a butter cookie dough. It tastes fucking awesome. So I had an idea, Carson.
Okay.
You can play along, or you can do as the recipe suggests and use one big pie tray. Because my dough's so fucked up, I'm thinking doing mini tarts.
Nice. So yeah, and this is another qualm I had about the recipe. The recipe that it's making.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade a spade. That's not a tart. That they're making a pie. Right?
Theoretically, I'm the one making a tart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that'll be more authentic.
Roll out your dough onto a sheet of parchment, or you can do aluminum foil. If you use that, though, you're going to have less of a bake time because it's going to heat up your dough faster. So roll out that parchment, put out the dough.
What do you recommend? Foil or parchment?
Well, if you have foil, it's going to cook a little bit less because it's going to heat up quicker with the foil.
Yeah.
So if it said like half an hour, you may want to do it for like 20 minutes.
Mm.
So you could speed up your cook a little bit.
I'm gonna stick with parchment.
Okay, cool. So what it says is to, as I say, place the dough between two sheets of parchment. So put a sheet of parchment on the bottom of the tray, then your dough, then another layer of parchment, once the dough is rolled out, of course. And then you're going to put it in the freezer, I'd say for about 15 minutes.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is just put pieces of dough in my little cup holders here, and then we'll just stick it in the freezer for a few minutes.
Sure.
It says you can do this for like overnight if you want, but who's got that kind of time? Well, I guess we do. Where the fuck are we going, Carson? It's locked down.
Yeah.
One game that I do love playing on this show is what is the strangest thing in your fridge or oddest magnet that you own on your fridge?
Honest magnet.
Is there a weird magnet on your fridge? A quirky one? Or you can play what's the strangest thing in your fridge.
Yes. There's this little witch magnet.
What's that from?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Should you put it on your fridge?
It is just there. It's always been there. It's just always been there. Weird things in my fridge.
I mean,
I have.
relative.
Do you know Chris Levier?
I do not.
He's an improviser and writer and sketch comedian.
Okay.
But he was on what's it called, beer prov on the cruise ships. Yeah, he did that while the pandemic hit, and he was trapped on the cruise ship for a while. But he gave me he wrote me a postcard and wrote it as if the Pope was sending me a postcard.
That's awesome.
It says, hey gang, Pope here, just dropping a note to my crew, checking in. Remember, stay alert, stay Pope. Sincerely, the Pope.
The stuff in the freezer, we're just going to hang out for 15. This recipe, if you're playing by the rules at home, says you can do this for overnight if you wish. I don't know.
Right, it says like 30 or overnight. That seems like a wide range.
I know. I feel like the cable company wrote this recipe. It's like, how long could this take? And then this is going to go into the oven for the blind bake. So you're going to want to weigh it down with something. In all honesty, I think you could put like a tinier mixing bowl or something on top if you want to.
I'm thinking a pot.
A pot, or like a lasagna tray, or
This seems to fit.
Yeah, because you basically just want to weigh it down. I've got a bit of a challenge doing it, tart style, like it should be.
Right.
Because I don't have those things, nor do I own marbles.
But you don't have weighted balls for baking?
No, I don't. Woohoo! Do you qualify for a vaccine, sir?
If they make a mobile unit here, then yes.
Yeah.
So, but who knows when that's gonna happen?
Yeah, you know what we should do? You should come back on the show. We'll make a vaccine.
Someone's got to leak the ingredients of the Pfizer and Moderna, and then it's open source, baby. We could do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly. We can make an artisanal vaccine. That can happen. All right.
Yeah, it's easy.
We're not doctors, friends. We are not doctors. Okay, my alarm just went off, so I'm gonna go from the freezer to the oven, and let's see what this looks like.
Okay, I'm going to butter my pan.
So I'm going to stick this in. I'm again not doing a blind bake. I am just rolling, going to the beat of my own drum for this bake, and bake for 10 minutes. You're wanting to get a crust that is lightly golden. If you don't see lightly golden, keep it in for another 5 minutes. So.
Okay.
There you go. What are your top 3 shows? What are Carson's top 3 pandemic reality show picks?
Well, okay. So, I mean, obviously RuPaul is going to be like one of the best. But they just had a season in UK that was like abnormally great. Just like really great UK drag queens. There is this show that's ridiculous called X on the Beach. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay, so you get a bunch of like sexy singles in like a villa by a beach, and they don't know why they're there. They're like, it's a dating show, whatnot. But every so often they get called to the beach, and out of the waves, out of the water, their exes come.
No.
Yeah. Their exes come and they just like stir the pot. And then there's like voting on like, sometimes the exes want to like get back with the people that they were exes with. Sometimes they want to like tell everyone else how shitty they are. And then there's a voting of like getting rid of the exes. And then they have to go back into the sea.
And drown?
They just, these 8 lines. Okay, 4. Because I squeezed all 8. And I'm like, this looks like too much lime juice.
The recipe says 8. And it also says you need a half a cup of lime juice. It also says you should use key limes. I did not have key limes.
No, who has key limes?
My thinking is they are smaller.
Right.
4 limes made half a cup. But I have a tremor. So when I hold things, sometimes I shake. So I now have a third of a cup of lime juice. So what we are going to do in this bowl is take our sugar, our eggs, and our lime zest, and we are going to whisk till smooth.
Okay. Yeah, he can't not be enthusiastic, as is Mark's ways.
Yeah, I would, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's got it in him, but.
Oh, I worry about him all the time.
Mark has been on the show. Mark has actually been in this kitchen. Just pretend Mark Hallworth is right here.
I would love that. So sugar, eggs.
And lime zest. Hey, because I'm using coconut sugar, I'm putting the lime in the coconut.
You just gotta drink it all down.
Yeah. Next step will be the flour and then the cream. When do we put the lime juice in?
That's a good question.
It doesn't. Oh, put the lime juice in now.
Okay.
Yeah, add that in too.
Over the pandemic, I realized that like I used to eat a lot of like, energy bars or just like Cliff bars or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then I realized how much cheaper I could just make them.
Oh my God. Exactly. We did if anyone at home wants to make their own bar, go watch the episode with Ricardo Mejias. We did a granola bar where
Very nice.
it's so good. And a fun drinking game for that episode, if you're drinking, is do a shot every time we say hot nuts.
This one will be weighted balls.
It's not like a super thick filling. And then once your pie crust is ready, let it cool for a moment, and then we're going to fill the pie or the tarts and get this in the oven.
Let's see how we're doing.
This is also, if you are able to share a treat with a friend right now or a roommate or something, I kind of dig the tart idea because then you just hand it over and you don't have to worry about cutting something together.
That is true. Tarts are easier to manage for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, they definitely are. But have you been doing this quarantine thing solo, or do you have roomies, or?
My partner is here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So thankfully, we haven't had to be alone.
That's so good. Yeah, that's, speaking of mental health, that is, I think, one thing I'm terribly envious of, people who have done this with someone in the room.
Right.
Yeah, because like the guy I've gotten to know is in another country, so we can't.
Right.
Which has been.
Were you bubbled with another household?
My parents.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I've been able to cautiously see my parents over the past year, and it's I'm sure people who have someone in the house with them constantly are going a little stir crazy and are a bit envious of me, but I'm equally as envious of you. So that's what I'm doing here, just using the little ice cream scoop, covering this up for my individual key lime tarts.
That looks great.
I think this is going to be good. If I was super creative, I would do a little like artisanal lime, zest on top or something for serving, but I think this should be.
Okay, so just to make sure, like that, mine does look very water-like.
Well, I don't know if you see, I don't know if you can see my pouring it. It's pretty liquidy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. It's going to taste delicious regardless. So.
Like soup is in the crust.
That's essentially what this is. Yeah, soup in the crust.
And just pop it in?
Pop it in 30 minutes at 350, and then you're going to let it cool. Let's say let it cool for about 30 minutes afterwards, then refrigerate for about an hour and a half. Speaking of being far away, have you ever had any incidents when you've been far from home that's been like scary, like stranger danger stuff?
Oh yeah.
What's your story?
Okay.
Tell it.
I'll try to tell a little Cole's Notes version of it because it's a lot. So I was working at a performance art and creative camp in Connecticut, and I was teaching comedy to kids there. And it's kind of this crazy artistic camp where like all the rich New York kids are sent there to learn every single art form we have ever. Like there's a whole comedy shop, there's a recording studio, there's glass blowing, there's everything. Anyways, it's in the hills of Connecticut, and some friends of mine there, we got obsessed with little towns and like the occult. And we caught wind of this town called Dudleyville. And Dudleyville is supposed to be like the most haunted place on earth. It's a time in hundreds of years ago, people tried to settle there. A bunch of weird stuff happened. People got struck by lightning. People like went into the woods and never came back. People got murdered. And twice the city has like completely crumbled to the ground. So we went there, and it's awesome. It's so haunted and great. And there's like no sound, and there's like little foundations of houses that are still left. And so we got obsessed with towns, and then we got caught wind of another town called Onion Town. Onion Town, what we were told is that a bunch of people live there. It's in the forest, and they don't want anyone else there. And if you drive into Onion Town, they'll try to like run you out of town. So we thought,
this sounds like you're making this up.
I know. That's exactly what we thought as well.
Now, if you want to be a little bit extra with your key lime tart, you can do your own whipping cream. Just add the heavy cream or the whipped cream to a bowl, add a bit of sugar, and whip it. Whip it good. Did you do a homemade whipping cream?
I did not. I generally shy away from whipped cream
That's fair.
because I have a milk allergy.
Oh, okay then. Fair point. Good thing to avoid. Also, just flat out, let me just get the wrapper off this. Also, having whipped cream in your fridge is just dangerous, especially for a sandwich.
Right.
It's like, well. Now, I am trying to get the paper off of this. How is the whole, wow, this is going to be a bit of a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm going to add just a dash of this to the top. And if I had another lime handy, I would do a little grating on top just to make it look extra pretty.
Right.
That's what I have. Ta-da.
That's so nice.
Great. Well, bon appetit.
Yes.
Let's see how this goes.
That's great.
That's really
It's so limey.
Mm-hmm. It just sounds funny to say. Oh my gosh.
It's great.
The crust is so buttery.
Yeah, this is like it's intense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh,
I'm digging it though.
This is a solid dessert. I maybe did my crust like a little bit thicker than I should have, but because I put it in the tart shell.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a nice balance of that little citrus kick and the sugar and the butter. Oh, this is good.
This is a success.
Mm-hmm. This would be great with like a nice mocktail or something.
Yeah.
You know, being in the park on a sushi date with Mark Hallworth.
It'd be perfect dessert. I also have like so much extra lime juice that I'm gonna be trying to make some like whiskey sours or something.
You should do that, and when we're able to gather again, we should make some of these and bring Mark along.
Yes, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Thank you again so much for doing this.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This has been a delight and a pleasure.
So good. It was so good.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
As well, stupidly. We're like, there's no way that this exists. And turns out we drove in Onion Town and we actually almost got murdered. They blocked our car off in the road. They came with like big boulders in their hand, and they like destroyed the windshields of the van we were in. We just barely made it out. They wanted to like murder us.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And you can look this up in Onion Town. It's a thing. People sometimes like go there and get hurt really badly.
Wow. What is their town motto? Stay away. Do not enter.